mostly ignore I gave a talk on XML Twig 2 years ago in Italian It was mostly, I used to just try it. Stuff it took me half a day to do it. After the talk, it would take me just an hour.
And we need to tweak a minute.
Yeah, well, unless you have to look up something in the documentation. Like it was like.
Isn't that about reading or writing? The big problem always. Reading is easy.
Okay. So then the XML Twig methods you know about, and some of them I didn't even remember. And I went to the dogs and this one's cool. So a few scary figures. XML Twigs I first released it about 12 years ago. Not only 5 classes, really 2 classes. The twig itself and elements, and there's a couple more for entities and entities. But it's still big, lines of code. It's a dog, but it's also big. And there's 412 public methods plus aliases. XML Twig. Do you all use XML Twig, or you kind of know what it is? Yeah, it's basically my XML toolbox. That's what I use at work, and I do a lot of XML. So I try stuff, and sometimes the experiment doesn't quite work, but the method is already there. But the name wasn't right, so I just put an alias. It's a little bit the PHP. Yeah, I know. There are minimal modules. This is not one of those. I tried it doesn't make sense. I changed the name of the method, so it was better when I wrote it. So, yeah, no, it's very similar to PHP. There's a lot of stuff. And sometimes the naming conventions aren't quite right. So we're going to start with, thank you, open office. A first very simple method, text only. It's a one-line method. There's lots of those. But I kept seeing, getting emails or seeing questions or performs. How do I do it? I just want the text of the elements, not being embedded. So if you have I like you not, you just in your element you apply text only, and you get I like you and not the embedded element. Normally here there should be the elements calling text only. So that's very simple. That's it saves you having to think about the method and getting it wrongly. I just have an XML Twig-based tool to add the animations to the OpenOffice thing, and I will run it and it'll work there. So classy methods. Class is annoying attributes. Class in the HTML sense, because it's tokens, and you can have several of them, but you should really have twice the same one. So adding a new class to an element it's not as simple as it could be. And testing that an element is in a class, actually it's a regex that has to go and see if you have a token. So there's an in-class method that tells you whether the element is in class. And then that's not a method, but in the subset of XPath that Twig supports natively, the find nodes function method, actually you can use classes in the same way as CSS that you use classes. Hey. Maybe you can say element, find nodes, and foo.bar. You find the foo elements which are the bar class. question for you actually. The method to add a new class to an element, I've called it add to class because for me you add the element to the class. And I find myself trying to type add class to the element. Would that make more sense?
It's a method of the element?
It's a method of the element.
So it should be add.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, to me it was you add the element to that class. But yeah, I keep typing add class. So.
Making alias.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. But no, for once I said, okay, I'm going to ask people before doing it. Because no, the thing is add class could be something that's already used. It's a name that I was afraid to step on someone's toes. Okay, I do a lot of XML to XHTML conversion usually. And I try to keep track of where my div elements, for example, come from. So I have a method called setType class, and that is an option too, and that's maybe why I mentioned it here. Which basically this is all wrong. Oh, it just doesn't display my. Well, we can guess it from here. If you have an element that contains this, or to that element you set type class div, it will change the tag value to div, and it will get the tag itself and add it as a class. This way you can keep track. You get your div and you don't have to think about it. You get the original XML element that lets you track. In fact, you don't lose any information between this and this to do that. If you have to go back to the XML, you can do that. Hello. Inheriting something that's also very, very simple that I end up doing quite often. Inheriting an attribute from the element or the element's parents. So if you have your element is here. Yep. So if on that element you inherit the attribute B, with the what at the end, will give you the attribute B. If you say the attribute NB, which it doesn't have, it's going to go up the ancestors and get it, in this case here. And of course you can pass, you can say I want the attribute NB, but just on S1 elements. So you will go back and find the attribute that should be NB here. NB from visible. Basically that saves you when you, things like, well not in CSS type processing, when you want, you know that some value is important for you, it's going to be specified somewhere up the tree, you get it to be. Sorting. Sorting a children of an element, that happens quite often. The big question at that point is sorting them on what? And the generic method, it's like per6. Discovered that yesterday. You pass it a reference to a function that will be applied to each element, and that will give you the value. So you can tell it sort on the second child with attribute whatever. The function goes from the element navigates and gets that value, and it will. That's what will be used for sorting. And the options are numerical or alpha and reverse. Of course, I never use that. It's either sort on value when you're sorting textual elements, it takes the value there, or sort on attributes and you specify which attributes, and sort on feed goes, and for each element gets a nested element and gets the value of that nested element. For example, like here, we have a list of items with a name and a price, and you can say that. Oh. say sort on. You can on the list you can say sort on field price, and we'll sort the items by price. And yes, if you have extra elements there, they just disappear. If you have elements that are not lit, that are not items, or that don't. So no, they're sorted. They sort. Yeah, but the thing is, if you have something that's not an item and that doesn't have a price, the price will be 0 for the empty string. No, don't do that. So a few simple methods that I end up using quite often. I don't want mixed content. I want to make sure that there's only text in my element, because after that I'm going to assume it's text. So I can, if element contains only text, I'm good. If not, this express. So I want to check that my element contains only cafe elements in that case. It will return true if all the children of elements are cafe, and false otherwise. And something that's also it's weird, but I often have to do that. I want to make sure that my element contains a single element with that name. And it's a little ambiguous because you could imagine that you have a short element and then the ice element added, but in that case it will return false. Substitutions. Because it's a pain to write by hand, going through all the nodes, all the text nodes from an element. So you can do text substitution. Substitute foo by bar, and my foo, your foo, their foo will become my bar, your bar, their bar. So it works on all the descendants. Of course, once I got there, I realized I could do more clever stuff. You can actually use that to tag elements. Here, you're gonna substitute. Here's a regular expression with a capture. So y, the space, and foo plus. And you can actually substitute that by just regular text, and the ampersand element construct is part specially, and this will wrap the capture in a B element, and the content of that B element will be $1. Will be the content, capture. So if you apply it to the same string, we look for y and foo, which would be here, my foo, and then you get the y is this one, and the element b here. Does it make sense? I have a slightly more complex example that's actually useful. You can also have attributes, because once I could wrap things in tags, I could